Legal correspondent Alexis Keenan is here with all the details. And Alexis, a lot of details to be sure.
So much unfolding, Brian. Here's where we stand. Given Bankman-Fried's arrival in the United States last night after having waived his right to challenge extradition from the Bahamas to the U.S., he would be expected to appear in a Manhattan district court either today or tomorrow. He has to be given an opportunity to get his arraignment and a bail hearing within 48 hours of this arrival. So at the arraignment, when it does take place, he'll be asked to enter a plea of guilty or not guilty. He'll also get that bail hearing. That's up to the judge to decide whether he can remain out of custody pending the conclusion of his case. Now, just how will Bankman-Fried plead to those 8 criminal charges that he's facing? Now, that has become much more difficult of a calculus after a U.S. attorney, the U.S. attorney rather, announced in a presser late last night that 2 of FTX's former executives pled guilty to multiple criminal fraud charges. Plus, they agreed to cooperate as witnesses for the prosecution. Those 2 executives are FTX co-founder and the company's former CTO, Gary Wang, as well as former Alameda research CEO, Caroline Ellison. Now, Ellison, for her part, she pled guilty to 7 counts of wire fraud, conspiracy against customers, as well as against lenders to Alameda, also money laundering, among other charges.
Hello, and welcome back to Cryptollennium. Today, SBF posted $250 million bail. We're finding out 2 of his FTX and Alameda colleagues have already pled guilty, and some positive crypto news regarding Twitter. So without further ado, please like and subscribe, and let's dig in. So for today's headline, FTX founder Sam Bankman-Fried will be released on $250 million bail, will live with his parents. Bankman-Fried was extradited from the Bahamas to Westchester County in New York on Wednesday night after days of chaotic court hearings. 2 of his top executives, Caroline Ellison and Gary Wang, pled guilty on Wednesday to various criminal charges related to fraud at FTX and are cooperating with the federal government. The terms of his personal recognizance bond were agreed to by his prosecutors and Bankman-Fried's lawyers. The 30-year-old will face his next hearing presided over by Judge Ronnie Abrams in New York City on January 3rd, where he'll enter his plea deal and be arraigned. And if you're unaware of what a recognizance bond is, it's a written commitment from the accused to appear in court when ordered. In return, Bankman-Fried's camp would not be required to meet the full collateral requirements on the bail. The bond was secured by the equity in his family's home and by signatures of his parents and 2 other individuals with considerable assets. I bet one might be Kevin O'Leary. In addition to the $250 million package, which prosecutors called the largest ever pretrial bond, the former crypto billionaire would also be required to wear an electronic monitoring bracelet, submit to mental health counseling, and restrict himself travel within and between the Northern District of California and the Southern and Eastern Districts of New York. The judge also required strict supervision following his release to his parents' home in California. Both of his parents are Stanford law professors. Interestingly enough, SBF is also barred from opening a line of credit larger than $1,000 while awaiting trial. SBF's bail also dwarfs other federal white-collar bonds. Bernie Madoff posted a $10 million bond while awaiting trial on his multi-billion-dollar Ponzi scheme. Jeff Skilling, the former Enron CEO, posted a $5 million bond, while Elizabeth Holmes, Theranos founder, posted a scant $500 million. She was recently locked up as well. This just shows you the epic proportion of this trial. Caroline Ellison and Gary Wang pleaded guilty to related fraud charges and are cooperating. Let's take a look at the details on that one. Former FTX Alameda execs, Gary Wang, Caroline, pled guilty to DOJ charges, which were related to their roles in fraud that contributed to the collapse of FTX. U.S. Attorney Damian Williams said Wednesday night. Now take a look at the official statement made by the U.S. Attorney Damian Williams regarding SBF and what's going on with Caroline and Gary Wang.
Last week, we announced charges against Samuel Bankman-Fried for a sweeping fraud scheme that contributed to FTX's collapse, and for a campaign finance scheme that sought to influence public policy in Washington. As I said last week, this investigation is very much ongoing, and it's moving very quickly. I also said that last week's announcement would not be our last, and let me be clear once again, neither is today's. I want to make two announcements. First, I'm announcing that the Southern District of New York has filed charges against Caroline Ellison, the former CEO of Alameda Research, and Gary Wang, a co-founder of FTX, in connection with their roles in the frauds that contributed to FTX's collapse. Both Ms. Ellison and Mr. Wang have pled guilty to those charges, and they are both cooperating with the Southern District of New York. Let me reiterate a call that I made last week. If you participated in misconduct at FTX or Alameda, now is the time to get ahead of it. We are moving quickly, and our patience is not eternal. Second, I'm announcing that Samuel Bankman-Fried is now in FBI custody and is on his way back to the United States. He will be transported directly to the Southern District of New York, and he will appear in court before a judge in this district as soon as possible. Many individuals in the Bahamas and in the United States contributed to the swiftness of the defendant's return, and I want to thank the Bahamas for its outstanding assistance and excellent coordination with us. I also want to thank our partners at the United States Embassy in the Bahamas and the Justice Department's Office of International Affairs. And finally, I want to thank the FBI for moving mountains to get this done. This was a true team effort. Finally, I want to thank the career prosecutors from my office who are handling this case. We continue to work around the clock, and we are far from done. Thank you.
7 charges against Carolyn, all total up to 110 years in prison and millions of dollars in potential penalties, for Gary Wang, and his charges, which included 4 counts of wire fraud and fraud conspiracy, as well as conspiracy to commit commodities and securities fraud. Penalties carry up to 50 years in prison, plus fines. In a separate action, the SEC also announced late Wednesday that it charged both Wang and Ellison with defrauding FTX investors, saying both were cooperating with its investigation and disclosing both had entered into settlements with the SEC. On a more complementary to crypto note, Twitter unveils crypto and stock charts. On Thursday, revealed a new feature called cash tags, with price chart support for major cryptocurrency and stock assets. Tech billionaire and Twitter's new owner, Elon Musk, shared a feature designed specifically for the financial sector with particular benefit for traders, financial experts, investors, and organizations. Cash tags help users see graphs, charts, and other data of stocks, crypto, and exchange-traded funds within a tweet. Very awesome stuff. This just adds to the robustness of the crypto market, all other markets, and the new era or the new age of investing. So kudos to Twitter. With that said, we will continue to cover what is going on with SBF, Carolyn, Gary Wang, and all other parties involved with FTX and Alameda. Thanks for watching. If you made it this far, please like and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one.